On September 1st, 1939, the world watched in horror as Nazi Germany unleashed its military might upon Poland. This event marked the beginning of World War II, a conflict that would engulf the globe and leave an indelible scar on human history. Hitler's forces, employing their infamous Blitzkrieg tactics, swiftly overwhelmed the Polish defences. The German Luftwaffe dominated the skies, relentlessly bombing Polish cities and military installations, while panzer divisions, spearheaded by tanks, tore through Polish lines with terrifying speed and precision. The Polish army, though courageous, proved no match for the overwhelming firepower and sophisticated tactics of the Wehrmacht. Within weeks, Poland was effectively crushed, its territory divided between Germany and the Soviet Union, which had signed a non-aggression pact with Hitler just days before the invasion. The fall of Poland sent shockwaves throughout Europe, shattering any illusions of appeasement and making clear the magnitude of the Nazi threat. The invasion of Poland triggered an immediate response from Great Britain and France, both of whom had guaranteed Poland's independence. On September 3rd, 1939, they declared war on Germany, marking the beginning of a global conflict. Following the swift conquest of Poland, Hitler turned his attention westward. After a relatively uneventful winter known as the Phoney War, German forces unleashed their Blitzkrieg strategy upon Denmark and Norway, quickly neutralizing these Scandinavian countries. Then, on May 10, 1940, the Wehrmacht launched a surprise attack on Western Europe, bypassing the heavily fortified Maginot Line by striking through the Ardennes forest. This audacious maneuver caught the French and their British allies completely off guard. German panzer divisions, supported by relentless Luftwaffe air attacks, rapidly advanced through Belgium and the Netherlands, encircling Allied forces and pushing towards the English Channel. The speed and ferocity of the German advance shocked the world. The Allied armies, outmaneuvered and outgunned, fought bravely but ultimately proved unable to stem the Nazi tide. Within weeks, Belgium surrendered, and the British Expeditionary Force found itself trapped at Dunkirk, clinging desperately to a shrinking perimeter. A desperate evacuation effort involving a flotilla of naval vessels and civilian boats managed to rescue over 300,000 Allied soldiers from the beaches of Dunkirk. But the victory came at a heavy price. France was left to face the full brunt of the German onslaught alone. On June 22, 1940, France was forced to sign an armistice with Germany, dividing the country into a German-occupied zone in the north and a nominally independent puppet state in the south. With the fall of France, Great Britain stood alone against the Nazi war machine. Hitler, believing that Britain, isolated and facing seemingly insurmountable odds, would seek peace, was surprised by the defiant stance taken by the new British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill. Churchill rallied the British people, vowing to fight on whatever the cost and declaring that Britain would never surrender. The Battle of Britain, as it became known, was fought primarily in the skies above southern England. The Luftwaffe, tasked with destroying the Royal Air Force and paving the way for a German invasion, launched relentless bombing raids against British airfields, radar stations and cities. The RAF, though outnumbered, fought with incredible skill and determination, aided by their innovative radar system and the bravery of fighter pilots from Britain, the Commonwealth and occupied Europe. The Battle of Britain raged throughout the summer and autumn of 1940, with heavy losses on both sides. However, the RAF ultimately prevailed, inflicting heavy losses on the Luftwaffe and forcing Hitler to postpone his plans for an invasion of Britain. The Battle of Britain, a testament to British courage and resilience, marked a crucial turning point in the war, dashing Hitler's hopes for a swift victory and buying valuable time for the Allies to regroup and rebuild their strength. Despite his setbacks in the West, Hitler remained convinced of Germany's ultimate victory. On June 22, 1941, he unleashed Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in human history, against his former ally, the Soviet Union. The invasion, launched with characteristic Nazi ruthlessness and brutality, caught Stalin and the Soviet leadership completely by surprise. German forces, comprising over 3 million men, 3,500 tanks and 2,500 aircraft, surged across the Soviet border on a vast front from the Baltic Sea in the north to the Black Sea in the south. The initial German advance was stunningly successful, with the Wehrmacht advancing rapidly into Soviet territory, encircling Soviet armies and inflicting heavy casualties. The Red Army, though numerically superior, was ill-prepared for the onslaught, hampered by poor leadership, inadequate equipment and the purges of experienced officers in the previous years. However, as the Germans advanced deeper into the vast expanse of the Soviet Union, they encountered fierce resistance from the Red Army and the Soviet people. The harsh Russian winter, with its freezing temperatures and heavy snow, also took a heavy toll on the invading German forces. By the end of 1941, the German advance had stalled on the outskirts of Moscow, Leningrad and Stalingrad, marking a turning point in the war in the east. Despite their initial successes, the Germans had underestimated the resilience of the Soviet Union and the determination of its people to defend their homeland.